And
Yay!
welcome.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live from the Flipping Made Easy studio right here in Matawan, New Jersey. It is Sturch, it is Gooch, it is Wrestling Rob here on a Feel Good Fantasy Football Friday. It is almost that time. You get those feelings? You getting those feelings as you're doing the research? Like, wow, there's mock drafts actually happening.
I've done tons of mock drafts.
I know.
Already.
I'm aware. It's
so
crazy.
I have a lengthy amount of mock draft to siphon through to kind of look at where I went wrong. I feel like when I go into mock drafts, I develop a certain strategy and I stick with it, and I'm kind of finding my way. You're in trouble. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
Now you're all in big trouble. All right. Anyway, so welcome. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Good morning to Bailey. Good morning to some of the people in the chat right away. We appreciate you joining. Bailey actually got an email yesterday that he joined up with the Patreon again. So thank you to Bailey. You can support Chop Sports just like Bailey did by heading on over to patreon.com/Chop Sports. That's how to do it. There's a 3, a 5, a 10. Variation. That's the way to support us. We really appreciate you guys as always. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please do us a favor. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that fun stuff that YouTube makes you do. By liking the video, it literally boosts us up into the chat. Into the searching algorithms and all that shit. So we really appreciate you guys as well. Nick is coming in. Intern Nick on a Friday on his off day is watching the show. What's up, Nick? Good morning. Successful first podcast on our network. Congratulations to that man right there.
What do you determine to be success? Because when we're talking
one person,
about,
one person downloads it and you're like, good shit.
I'm gonna pile on to my joke from yesterday. So I did a podcast. My first solo podcast I ever did was for my fantasy football league, and I ended up having 12 downloads out of 12 people. So it was like 100% rate.
Nice.
And there's like 31 NHL fans. Nick got like 80% of them all in the entire country
right
on his first day. I'm so proud of you, buddy.
That's great, dude. Proud of you, man. Whatchamacallit? It's a great hockey podcast for all you hockey enthusiasts out there, just like Gooch. I know there's more of you out there than actually known before he even started this podcast. So appreciate you coming on. And yeah, great job. So now we talked about Patreon already. We talked about YouTube. Now let's get right into the sports here on a Friday, because we have ourselves a fantastic Gooch rundown. A lot of stuff going on over there. So Gooch, what can you say about what's going on in the world of sports?
Okay. So in Major League Baseball news, I'm just going to get right to it. The Yankees dropped a series to a AA team over the weekend, or I guess not really over the weekend, throughout the week. And yesterday it was an embarrassing loss. I don't know what Boone was doing. I guess the Boone that we were fearing coming to rear his ugly head right around All-Star break. Perfect timing. The Yankees definitely have some hull damage right now, but we're not going to get carried away. I mean, I'm sure Dave is, but
no. I mean, we'll talk after.
We'll circle back.
You do your rundown. We'll circle back.
There's a little bit more happening in Major League Baseball, as the Major League Baseball amateur draft, or player, whatever you want to call it. There's no international prospects in this one yet. I'm not sure if this is going to be the last one that we get with only high school and college kids in the draft. Where I know that in the CBA they were talking about modifying the way international prospects were injected into Major League Baseball, and I feel like this might be the last one. So I don't have much notes on it, but it is this weekend, and maybe we'll circle back on Monday and kind of break it down and go over some other prospects. But the Home Run Derby, I'm not sure when they were officially announced, but we do have some matchups for 1 through 8. All the seedings are made. I don't know if Kyle Schwarber deserves the 1 seed, but Kyle Schwarber,
they do the seedings. That's right.
I don't think that they're actually seeded.
He just bullies people into getting the 1 seed. He's a big dude. Like, he's like, by the way, I'm the 1 seed.
But there's no way that he would be the 1 seed when we go through this list of players. So Kyle Schwarber with the first round duel against Albert Pujols. Excited for Pujols to compete in the Home Run Derby.
I mean, we're all rooting for Pujols, correct?
But then, yeah.
Well, it's in LA,
I'm
right?
not sure.
It's in LA.
Yes, it's Hollywood.
And Pujols played for the Dodgers, didn't he? For a little bit,
for like
about a cup of coffee.
The end of the year last year. I guess it's a little reunion for Pujols.
I mean, he played with Anaheim.
The Dodgers fans don't really care about anything. They go to the games to like dress up nice and shit. But anyway, matchup number 2, Juan Soto against Jose Ramirez. I think that's an interesting matchup. Ramirez rakes. Soto is just one of the funnest guys to watch in the league. And then Julio Rodriguez against Corey Seager. Boring. Rodriguez exciting. Boring. Corey Seager boring. And then the matchup that I'm most excited for in a NL East duel, a little clash of the Titans with Ronald Acuna Jr. and Peter Alonso returning to defend his crown.
So the polar bear plunge.
I guess we'll make our predictions, right, for the home run derby.
It's Friday. It happens when?
Or no, it happens, I guess, Monday. So we'll wait. Yeah, we'll wait. And maybe we'll even make a game of it. I think we could do something like that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So NBA news, DeAndre Ayton signs a huge offer sheet with the Indiana Pacers. 4 years, $133 million. That was a record deal, I guess, when it comes to offer sheets. So the Suns had until 11:59 p.m. on Saturday night to match the offer. They did not wait. They matched it immediately. So people now were probably thinking like, well, I thought the Suns didn't want DeAndre Ayton anymore. And that probably means that they still don't want DeAndre Ayton. They just want more compensation. So I feel like that was par for the course.
Imagine being a Pacers fan, thinking you're like,
I thought it was a curious move. Why not just give Sabonis Jr. that extension? Like give him the same money. I feel like Sabonis Jr. is a better player. No, I mean that's just me.
No, I think so too.
MMA news: SBG head coach, that's Straight Blast Gym for those that don't know the acronym, and owner and head coach of Conor McGregor announced that Conor is ready and waiting for an offer. So Conor is ready to return to the MMA world, and he's ready for a fight camp. So who do you think Conor McGregor will face in his return to action? That's the big question. I know Charles Oliveira was talking like he was going to give Conor the title shot, but that's not really possible because Dana's not on board with it. Mm-hmm. It's looking like Islam Makhachev against Charles Oliveira for the belt. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but probably sometime this early fall. And I would imagine Conor will be on that card. Whoever he fights, look for Conor early fall, right around week 2. 3.
Who do you think they're gonna have him fight though? Obviously,
who makes the most sense to me would be either like a Masvidal guy type guy because he's a little exciting and hittable.
Well, my prediction?
Yeah.
Nate.
I don't think it's going to be
I don't think if I was Conor, I wouldn't do that right now either.
Well, I would if I was Conor.
That'd be a big fight though.
But I don't think Nate wants to wait that long. And speaking of Nate Diaz is willing and ready to take any fight. He accepted the Khamzat fight, and that got pulled off the table. Nate is down to fight anybody. He literally says, just let me quit. If you don't want to give me a fight, let me quit. He just wants out of his contract.
What are they waiting for then?
He's not negotiating for more money, he said. So any news that you hear of that, I don't care. I just want to fight on this deal, get out of the deal, and then leave and do what I want. And Dana White is
Dana's being a piece of shit.
Dana White is saying, well, I don't know what Nate Diaz is making demands for. He lost 6 of his last 7 or something, which is true. But then if he has no value to you, Dana, then do the right thing. Give him a fight and let him
cut
walk.
The man loose, man. This is kind of bullshit at this point.
It's enough.
But now, all right. So in that same breath, is that it?
Yeah, that's it for my beautiful rundown.
All right. So in the same breath, though, like with the Conor thing, I'm wondering. Well, in specific, Nate, because like you're right, he hasn't he's being stranglehold right now. Whatchamacallit? He's being stranglehold right now. Hit the blank one. Yeah. He's being stranglehold right now by the UFC. But like now that Nate, now that Jake Paul is doing like this actual fight, which by the way, I saw footage yesterday of their sparring session. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay, that got pretty intense, pretty quick. So I'm really excited about this fight now.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. It was when they he was
helping him prep for the Nate Robinson fight.
Yeah. So whenever the hell that was,
his first boxing match.
Yeah.
Well, his first one that was like
televised, whatever.
Right. Okay. So anyway, I saw that, so I'm pumped about the fight. But like, let's just say Paul loses, which we're the majority of America and the world are probably rooting for that. Now, like, does Paul lose all that glimmer and then the Nate thing never really happens? Or like, is that still like a fight that's on the dock?
No.
Because why? All right. So basically what I'm asking is, with Nate wanting to be out, where's he going?
Well, Nate wants to go just do whatever he wants. I don't know that Nate would fight Jake Paul. I mean, I'm sure he would for the right.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if he's not going to Bellator, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if Nate Diaz is done with the UFC, what the hell is Nate doing for money?
Nate could go do bare knuckle. Nate could just go to the
what
highest
about that
bidder.
Professional Fight League thing that
PFL.
I don't know too, but I just feel like the most appeal is at UFC.
Nate, in terms of wanting to fight MMA fighters, he's not going to go fight some upstart guy in PFL that no one ever heard of. That's arguably tough. Or not arguably, is tough and has no name value. Like you see what Pettis did. Pettis went to PFL and he's like 1-3. Pettis is a former UFC champ. I think that there's too much risk there. You're better off going and just doing the Tyron Woodley thing, the Ben Askren thing, fighting these one-off things. Nate Diaz has a name. He's going to make a ton of money outside of MMA if he decides to do boxing in one fight. So he really doesn't have to do much.
We'll see. Whatever.
What's the reason why he would keep going and fighting in the MMA world right now under the UFC banner?
Well, under the UFC banner, I don't know. But if he was smart, which again, he's a businessman, he's been around for a long time. I just feel like he's like, oh, I don't want to renegotiate. I don't like, but what else is there to do, bro? Like that, if it's not the Jake Paul $1 million fight,
sure
like what are we doing?
Plenty
here?
of opportunities.
I'm sure you can open up a gym or whatever.
But right now, the opportunities are limited because he's under contract, so there hasn't been any offers. But I'm sure as soon as he gets released from that stranglehold, the offers will start pouring in, and Jake Paul will definitely be on the table.
Got you.
If he wanted it, but I don't know. Nate's a weird dude.
As far as the Yankees are concerned, so obviously the Jimmy Palombos of the world were texting me all night last night about the epic collapse, the collapse that's coming for the New York Yankees, and I raise you your collapse and say this is the first Yankees series loss since May. So this is an anomaly. They are tired. It is all-star break time. Their minds are on that 4-day break. That's my excuse. I don't know if you can use that excuse against Boston coming in because you do not want to, like right now, I don't know. Is it still 14 or whatever?
It's 13. I think Boston won yesterday.
Standings. So it's 13 over Tampa, 15.5 over the Red Sox at 62-27. So what I'm saying is, don't get swept by the Red Sox because that 15.5 turns into 12, and then you're like, all right, it's still nice, but you just don't want to go
fucking swept.
Not in the Bronx either. I don't think. But I'm saying the Yankees right now
a bad baseball team.
Played some bad baseball this past week. Don LaGreca of ESPN has said it multiple times. The people that are like, it is a constant flow of hatred towards Joey Gallo, right? And it's justified. I get it. He's batting like literally 145 or some shit, 150 at most because he went 0 for 4 yesterday with a walk, right? I'm looking at Joey Gallo in the same breath as LaGreca, and I agree with this. Everybody's like, I can't believe they still got him in the line. He will not have effective, meaningful at bats when it's time. When we get to the playoffs, the guy's going to be out of the lineup. It's done.
I agree.
So we're just kind of what do you call that when you're just like when the boat's sinking and you're getting rid of the water, treading water?
Treading water.
That's what they're doing right now.
My question is this, though. If Joey Gallo, let's count the games that we've had Joey Gallo in the lineup since we've known he's not the guy, right? A lot of games. How many games have they played in Toronto with Joey Gallo in the lineup? You see where I'm going with this, right?
What, you want Benintendi?
Yeah, like if Joey Gallo sucks that bad, just get Benintendi, replace him for every other fucking game.
But they actually have a solve on the roster right now, and his name is Miguel Andujar. Like, you telling me you wouldn't trot out Miggy every night? Isn't just for shits?
I'm pretty sure Andujar wants out.
He does want out.
It doesn't matter. He wants out because he's not playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wants out because
he's not playing. He's not going to want out. He doesn't want. Who wants to leave New York if you're on the roster?
I think he just doesn't know how to play left field, and that's what they're basing it on.
I'm sure they can make the game cosmic shift in defense, but
I get it. But yeah,
it's just,
bro. How about this? I don't give a fuck who's our AAA left fielder.
I'm sure he's better than Gallo.
I'm sure he could bat better than 150.
Right, correct. Yeah. You can literally stick the wood across the plate with better chances to do something with the bat rather than Gallo.
The whole Benintendi issue I'm saying is like he's not vaccinated, so they're worried about taking.
We talked about it yesterday.
But as of now, with no Benintendi, you're getting Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess they could replace Benintendi with somebody different, but Benintendi is the anti-Joey Gallo. He's like strikeout rate is 13%, Gallo's is like 50. You replace Benintendi in the lineup instead of Gallo, and like I saw, there's just so many less swings and misses through the lineup.
Saw a tweet, I think it was yesterday or maybe it was like a week ago, but somebody said, "Is there anybody in baseball that gets to an 0-2 count faster than Joey Gallo?" Like it happens like that. It's like
maybe Brett Gardner,
Gallo, and all of a sudden it's like
baseball.
0-2 count.
Yeah, why haven't they called him? Why don't they call him back?
Because it's a lot of more of the same thing.
Who? Gardner?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to assume that the guy, he didn't retire, so you got to assume he's still in baseball shit. They got Tyler Wade now.
Left?
No, probably not. I mean, he's an infielder,
he can play shortstop. He can play anywhere.
Hicks just got hurt, right?
Hicks is going to be out for a little while, so they got. It seems to me that the shift has been made that, Aaron Judge is going to be our new center fielder. I mean,
I think he is the center fielder.
but I'm saying going forward forever.
Yeah, I think
it's
bad.
over. Like the whole like, oh, let's bounce him around.
I think
he's going to be paid.
They would like to get
to be the center fielder of the New York
center
Yankees.
fielder and put Judge in right. I think that's definitely a team need defensively. While Judge he's serviceable in center, he's a right fielder, right? He's a Gold Glove right fielder. I think that he can be serviceable in center, and he has been. But the Yankees are a much better defensive team with a traditional center fielder out there. No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But again, Yankees are up 13 games in first place today, at least. Everybody calm the fuck down, bro. What are we waving?
No, I wanted water.
Oh, water. He's parched. Water. Give him that pink ass thing right on camera. There it is. Give him that pink. Yeah.
Hey.
Look at that.
The Yankees almost bought the beat back last night in the 8th inning when Judge hits a home run.
Bro, listen, and then Torres gets up. By the way, shout out to the Yes Network. I'm not calling him racist by any stretch, but like it's just like Judge hits the home run, like, what an inning, Judge. And like they're recapping, and then they go to Torres, and all of a sudden, like they play all the Spanish music as he's going. I'm like, dude, did you like come on? Like, don't be an asshole. Don't be that guy. But anyway, they did battle back. And then, of course, the stupidest rule in all of professional sports is the ghost runner. That's got to go away forever and ever and ever. Has to at this point. It just absolutely has.
Doesn't make no sense.
It feels like middle school kickball. You know, it feels
that's
like
exactly what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, it's a tie game. We get a runner on second.
They're
going
getting
forward.
rid of it after
It's
this year,
so
they said.
bad.
Yeah, I
dude.
thought they already got rid of it because it's
happening still.
No, after this year. And
Then
I don't
great
know, like,
because
that's
I didn't think they did.
He's got a ghost runner in the 10th.
Yes.
How come there was no one on base? At least I was watching on the Gamecast on my phone. There was definitely nobody on second.
Because the guy hit a 2-run shot.
I'm talking about the Yankees.
Yes, hit a 2-run shot.
Oh,
in the 10th.
Oh, all right.
Right.
That makes sense.
And
now.
then there's no runner on. Matt, that's next, by the way.
I didn't know they were down 3.
Yeah, so that's next, by the way. Baseball's going to be like, he clears the bases with a fucking 2-run shot, and they're like, all right, now you can get another runner on
So
second.
the most
again.
concerning thing
After
about the
score.
Yankees, like they're losing baseball games to AAA teams, fine. They're not a AAA team. Luis Castillo pitched yesterday. He's fucking good, right?
I saw him on your fantasy
AJ
team.
Bascon coming in. Luis Castillo had a wonderful tryout for the Yankees yesterday.
They should get
They
it.
should
Yes.
try to
So,
get
I
it.
mean,
At this point, I'm like,
maybe, but leading to my actual point, another Luis in the Bronx, that's the real issue that we're facing right now. Nobody's talking about it. Is Sevy went on the IL with a lower lat strain. This
and
is
lat
the same,
is up here when you're a pitcher. Forget it.
it's the same deal that I feel like Scherzer just was dealing with. No, it was like a lat
I thought it was a leg.
hamstring.
Well,
slash lat.
I mean, when you give up back to back home runs, I'm sure something hurts in your body because that's pretty much what happened. He
Well,
goes
that's-
back to back,
So,
and then all of a sudden
against the Reds.
he started
No.
grabbing his arm.
Yeah, he's like, ooh.
So
Yeah,
you
and,
know,
then he was like, "Hey Doc, how much do I got to give you to like put
Get
me
me
on
out of
the IL for
Yeah,
a month
get
and
me
a
the
half?"
fuck out of here right now.
Come on.
I gotta go.
So I'm gonna pull the same bullshit that everybody else tries to pull and find the silver lining here and say, you know what, Sevy usually breaks down in the second half anyway.
My God.
So maybe the injury will get him his shoulder.
Did you guys? Speaking of rules, did you guys know
is that true?
the summer league, the second overtime is sudden death? How great is that?
First basket
How
wins.
great is that? See, that would be incredible if that was a real thing,
What?
dude.
I
imagine
actually-
like,
I actually
and we're
love
tied
it.
still
I
after
love
overtime.
it. I
Tip
love it.
off,
Do you know
dribble,
that-
shot.
Do you know
game.
right now the Knicks are in like front runner to win the summer league, the championship?
Ooh.
They
Because
get
they have
rings
all
this
their
year.
starters.
Do we get
They have all their
banners?
You get
starters
rings
playing.
this year.
Shut up.
Yeah,
Wait. First of all,
you get rings this year.
Wait.
Yes.
The summer league is actually a league.
No, it's like all the.
I
It's
just
like,
thought it was like a bunch of exhibition practice games.
no, it's like
like a
league.
preseason.
They play.
Essentially, like
The
they
summer
don't
league's
they
big,
don't
dude.
matter.
He just said he's getting rings.
They're getting
Yeah,
rings
so
this
they're
year.
giving them rings, but it's like it doesn't mean if it means something to
Holy
you, then you're
shit.
a fucking mark.
I mean,
Did I use that word right?
did he use
It's
the
in
road right?
yeah, kind of. It's in Vegas, so like they're trying, they're trying
Wait,
to
is it
make
a
big.
bubble? It's like not a bubble, but like all
Yeah,
all games are
it's
at
all
one
in
spot.
Vegas. Yeah, it's all in
Huh.
Vegas. Yeah.
Interesting. Speaking of the Knicks,
pretty cool.
I don't think you brought it up. If you did, I spaced out for a second. The rejection of the trade. Did you bring it up?
I did not.
No.
Okay, good. First of all, Jesus, like, thank God they came back and said no.
Yeah.
If they would have given up all that stock for Donovan Mitchell, I would have lost my goddamn
If this
mind.
was the video game, it's accepted.
If you turn like trade overrule on, yeah.
Well, I mean, not really. Like if I'm playing in a video game, I'll offer every single draft pick I own. in these like dynasty drafts.
I'm a
and shit
sick.
like that.
I'm a sick bastard. I acquire as many draft picks as I can, and then I draft
I'm
guys
like,
that don't even exist.
I'll go
"He's
after
gonna
a
be
star.
stud,
I'll go after a
watch
star
this."
player, and I'll just keep on adding meaningless picks until they agree to it. It'll be like 11 sixths.
But you do see what Utah's trying to do here, though.
Yeah.
Utah's trying to do what Danny Ainge did with Boston
Great
and
comment.
build all those picks and start with a young team. I mean, look,
Great.
Boston just went to the
I mean,
championship
and
this
you're
year.
going to get potential lottery picks from the Knicks if you get
Yeah,
6 first
pretty
round.
much.
guess, yeah.
I would imagine
The best comment so far. I just saw it. AJ with the ring pop thing, but where Hawaii Mike Summer League is too legit as IKEA is to furniture. That's fantastic. Viduro, our guy over at Hater Fantasy Sports, we'll talk about him in a second, but he just said, why not do a half court shot competition? Because then Golden State would be 84-0 in overtime play. Because Curry would just be like, and just let it fly. Oh my God. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted to get into the Knicks rejected trade before we got too far into this whole shebang. So before we get into fantasy football, because that's what we're all here for, right? I do want to ask you guys, if you're worried that you're going to run out of money, you don't have your read, son of a gun. It's okay. Run out of money in retirement, or how you'll pay for long-term health care. Ladies and gentlemen, if he just left. That's cool. He's going to get his read. That's appropriate. It is. How you'll pay for long-term health care if you need it. Will your family be okay? A comprehensive retirement plan gives you security and greater control over your money. Michael Fusco can help with that at the Fusco Insurance Agency. Michael will work with you to create that comprehensive retirement plan. He'll explore using life insurance and annuities to help you build a more secure future so you can worry a little bit less right now. Call 718-701-5787 to schedule your complimentary consultation. That's 718-701-5787. Guarantees and protections are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company. Some insurance policies are not available in all states. I should definitely memorize that at this point. And also, just so you guys know, Fusco is offering now, you can finance with Fusco. 540 FICO score or above. Go check him out at the prestigetaxfinancing.com/business financing. You can contact the same number for that. He's offering it all, folks. And before he gets into his lovely Manscaped read, I do want to give a shout out to Dat Chat, one of our new social media platforms that we're partners with that we like to promote here because it's awesome. I was actually on it yesterday, exploring, joined a few new groups over there. It's a lot of Facebook group-esque things. Like, you could just keep joining groups. And there's a lot of information to be had over there. I'm actually in one that's, I think it's like Super Dads Anonymous or something like that, where it's just dad tips. Because Lord knows I need all of them. I tried to put my kid the other day, 2 kids to bed by myself.
You're a failure.
I am an absolute failure at that. Miles was crying, and I went into Stella, and Stella's now, by the way, she's in a big girl bed. She's in a big girl bed now. So now she can just leave the room whenever she wants. And I'm just like, oh my God. And
so I feel uncomfortable going from like speaking about your kids.
I was going to do one more thing before that, so it's not a hard segue. Our friends over at haterfantasysports.com, go check him out. Vidoro is actually the owner of this, or part owner, or whatever owner. He's got a big stock in this. Haterfantasysports.com. He's in the chat right now. It is basically a low score wins. You want to pick guys to stink. It's a whole new platform. They're going to be ramping it up at the end of August. We're definitely going to do a lot more for them going forward. But check out haterfantasysports.com and join today. So now Mr. Gucci has something about somebody's bush.
Yes. So I'm going to refrain from going the bush route because we all know that it's not a bush. It's a taint jungle over here. But we are knee deep in the summer months, and it has officially been swamp ass season since June, right? So I'm going to need everybody to head on over to manscaped.com, use the promo code SHOPSPORTS, and you get 20% off your entire order, free shipping worldwide. The best package they got on there is the Performance Package 4.0. It has the Lawnmower 4.0 with the 400K LED light, waterproof at that, so you could kind of trim your balls in your face, and there's really no harm, no foul. They have the Weed Whacker 2.0. It's for your nose hairs and your ear hairs. They have all the lotions to prevent chafing, and with this package, you get a free t-shirt and you get free boxers.
Hey now.
I am not wearing them today. So for those that saw the show yesterday, I do not wear my underwear 2 days in a row.
So wait, he doesn't wear underwear 2 days in a row, or those
underwear 2 days in a row?
Right,
but I would like for them to send me a couple more pairs because I really do like them.
Yeah.
And,
all right. Well, hey, we're talking to you, man.
Doing live reads for you, I could accept another performance package headed my way. But yeah, go on over to manscaped.com, use the promo code SHOPSPORTS, and keep your ball sack clean and your tree nice and tall.
Tree tall. That's a new one. I like that one. I always get a little weird of that when I go into the bathroom here and there's like one of the lotions, like the cap's off. So I'm just like, Gooch definitely just used the whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah, so
it's definitely
I
being
did
actively
notice
used
that
here.
the shave gel. Look, you ever see the Burt Kreischer podcast where he's talking with somebody? I forget who it was, but he's talking about how when he goes into a public restroom, it's just skin on skin, right? So he doesn't need to wash the toilet; it's just skin on skin.
No fucking way.
And he
bro.
actually said, he was like, bro, all I really do if it's dirty is I spit on it and then I wipe it off with toilet paper and it's all mine. I kind of feel the same way about my fucking lawnmower 4.0
Oh
and
my
my face shave. I mean, it's really for your balls, but it works good. If it's good enough for my ball sack, then I'm applying it to my face and neck as well. You get it?
You know, I haven't.
It's a shave gel. Like what? It's not like
outside of one time during the pandemic, like in the beginning of it, where I shaved myself. I have not shaved my own face. I've shaved my own face once in like 10 years because the barber does it, and I'm just like, I don't ever need to do it.
I definitely.
You do, I know, because
more often. I don't really ever take a razor to my cute baby face over here, cutie baby face, right? But if I shave my
cute.
upper lip, it feels like it's like 14 inches long. Like I'm like, it just never ends.
Well, that's why some of these clowns out there are doing the and shout out to my brother-in-law who's not a clown, but a lot of these guys are doing this freaking mustache thing. I can't. Like, since the goddamn movie came out, the fucking Top Gun, everybody wants a mustache. I'm like, I remember a time, I'm old enough to remember when you had a mustache like that, people thought you touched kids. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why would I want that just caterpillar on my face?
I've never had a mustache in my life.
I don't think I may have done it as like a joke. You know, like, it's left. It's the only thing left. But then I'll get rid of it. I don't know.
Ash, what do you think? Mustache time? Just a nice little
porn
stash.
Do it.
It'd be so
You
gross.
You won't.
So fucking gross. Yeah, I'll keep the shadow.
My dad had a mustache, and I hate him so much. So every time I get a mustache, I swear to God, if you've ever seen me with a mustache, let me know. Looking at any of my pictures, I hate him so much. I refuse to have a mustache because of that man. He ruined mustaches for me.
Dear Slim.
Yeah.
My God. Well, this one took a turn. Anyway, I'm glad people are reconciling in the chat right now. David
me too, because I was kind of worried about that.
Yeah, so was I. Hawaii Mike, Florida Mike, whatever you're calling yourself now. Ease the fuck up. Seriously.
Florida. Is he in Florida already?
That's what he just said, Florida Mike. So, but he goes, yeah, shaking my head, fantasy sports, they don't send your winners champ. Like, all he had to do was just like, hey, man, I won. You didn't send me my whatever, gift card or T-shirt or whatever the fuck it was.
There was a gaming issue.
Good Lord,
there was
bro.
A gaming issue.
Calm down.
We're all good.
Ease up.
We're all good.
Anyway, we are all good here at Chop Sports. So now it is time to talk some fantasy football. As we get closer and closer, it's already mid-July. People are actually start their drafts, starting of August. I mean, I don't really condone that, but you might. There's some drafts that do it in July, which, again, you're out of your mind. But there are rankings out there. There are drafts being out there. There are average draft positions being labeled. So now you know where these guys are going in a lot of these mock drafts. So, Gooch, today you did a deeper dive and you figured, why not tell the masses a couple of guys that are out there that not you labeled them as sleepers, but they might not be because we know who they are already, but they might outperform where they're at.
Let me explain real quick what I'm going to do here. So I don't like to use the word sleeper when it comes to fantasy in general. I mean, sleepers to me are they're deep sleepers. Or they're just any guy that's going to outperform his draft day value. So a sleeper could be a guy like Jonathan Taylor last year. He was picked late first at best and then mid-second typically. And he ended up being the number one player or number one running back. And this year he's pretty much the clear-cut consensus number one pick in fantasy. So I'm looking for that guy in this little segment. But not only that, just like I said, guys that are going to probably outperform their draft value, who are going to maybe step into a new role and don't really have the acumen in the past that warrants them a high pick. So going through it, we're going to go through quarterback, running back, receivers, tight ends. There might be a little redundancy because some of these guys I've spoken about throughout the week, but
we just covered the AFC North, so maybe
so it is what it is. We'll handle it, and any questions you guys might have at each position, I'll be happy to answer all your questions.
Genius.
So moving over into quarterback is probably the hardest one for me because I think it's pretty clear cut. You might have some guys inside and out of order depending on where you put a Kirk Cousins, where you put a Derek Carr in relation to maybe like a Jalen Hurts or guys like that. But I feel like there's about 12 quarterbacks, and then once they're gone, there's one or two guys that you might be able to see that vault in this year.
I got a couple, but go ahead. No, I was going to say.
You got some? I only have one quarterback that I think could vault into QB1 territory that's not considered that right now.
Who is it? Maybe it's just agreeing on what I have here.
I mean,
the poster boy here?
It's the only guy that I have on the quarterback list, and that's Trey Lance. Trey Lance is unproven, right? But he's stepping into a situation with a really good supporting cast, a good offensive line, and a clear-cut front office that's completely buying in on him.
Yep.
They're letting go a guy that's taken them to A, Super Bowl in the past, and B, deep into the playoffs multiple times. His win percentage is out of this world for a guy that plays quarterback the way he does.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just agree to that.
That's true.
Trey Lance has such better physical tools, and at the very worst, even if he's not a great passer, if he's Jimmy Garoppolo across the board passing stats, he's going to probably add about 600 rush yards and about 8 rushing touchdowns to the mix. So I just can't see anything worse than what Jalen Hurts is capable of doing in Philly out of Trey Lance this year in San Fran.
I would say that Jalen Hurts has better weapons, I think, more equipped, because obviously they both have great tight ends. Heard that.
But it's very similar. I feel like they're a very similar situation where they have the Debo, where even AJ Brown is a very similar comparison to what Debo is. That was his comparison coming into the league. Essentially, like these guys are compared to each other a lot.
I got two guys that I think, I didn't look where they were being drafted, and I should have. I did that with the running backs and receivers. I didn't do that with the quarterbacks because everybody picks quarterbacks over
bet you
time.
have Zach Wilson on there.
I do not have Zach Wilson on here. I have Tua.
Tua is a guy that I considered.
I think that the weapons they provided him with down there, it's almost impossible to fail unless he sucks at quarterback. You know what I mean? Like he's got Waddle came out of like a barnstormer last year, and then you add Tyreek Hill, and Gesicki's been the guy down there for a couple years now. So like they have weapons down there. They ship off Devontae Parker, but again, you replace him with Tyreek Hill, so it's not like that's not.
I think Miami's going to be as crazy as it sounds. They have a fucking loaded running back room, but no one.
Well, I got
guy,
somebody at
no
the running
one
back
guy
room,
stands
actually.
out.
I'll tell you who stands
to me,
out.
Only because of the way that their coach uses guys. I think he's coming from the San Francisco system where they're going to revolve that door at running back, so that's going to be a nightmare.
Could be. And then, I mean, people probably high on him, but maybe not. But Jameis Winston, because a guy like him last year, you saw what he could do, right? And then he unfortunately gets hurt, and then the rest is history with the Saints. They draft a receiver. They add. I mean, Michael Thomas is apparently back. And when I say back, I mean he must be healthy. We don't know what he's going to do, but remember, guys, it's not like Michael Thomas wasn't one of the best receivers in football when he was going. He was going. Like when he was going, he was going. So imagine adding somebody like Olave over the top and a Michael Thomas underneath, and the guys that most of those guys they're bringing back who stepped up last year when Thomas was down, they're still all there. So it's up to Jameis to. I'm not saying that off the ACL he's going to be some kind of rushing mogul like your boy Trey Lance, but like I think he's going to put some air under that ball, and I think he's going to let it fly. So I like Jameis Winston to outperform wherever the hell he's getting drafted right now.
I feel like he's not. He's a guy that you're going to probably be able to add potentially, which I think is. I think
you don't think Jameis gets drafted?
Jameis Winston is a really solid backup. I don't think he'll vault into starting territory, but you will be able to stream him and start him in spurts depending on the matchups for sure.
So you're saying,
me and Jameis.
I'm asking you. I know you and him are
like butter
buddies.
and toast, baby.
Would you draft late? Would you draft a Jameis or draft a Tua? Like, are those guys worth a draft selection, or are you going to be like they'll be okay, but they'll be there?
I typically avoid backup quarterbacks unless I don't have a really good starter, and I would typically over a guy like Jameis, who I think will be in and out of free agency all year. I think he's a guy that
he's a streamer.
He'll get dropped and added. I would take a flyer on one of the younger guys that could potentially be a superstar, and we just don't know it yet, with a Zach Wilson or a Trevor Lawrence.
Question from the masses here. LaCour Music coming in. Joe, congratulations on another show tonight. Successful one. I know you're going to kill it. You're over at JR's. But he wants to know where Herbert lands on your list as far as fantasy quarterbacks this year. It's an open forum, so we're going to be talking.
I'm probably 4. Josh Allen, clear cut number 1. I would say Pat Mahomes number 2. I mean, you could put Herbert at 3 for sure. Herbert's probably 3. I think he's going to go 3rd out of all quarterbacks this year.
Okay.
Is Kirk Cousins in your top 10?
No.
He's going to throw for like 5,000 yards.
He ain't throwing for
top 10 finishes, bro.
I think he'll have a ton of top 10 finishes. But
I hate Kirk Cousins.
I'm saying that Kirk Cousins is one of those guys where, he's going to have some splash games because of the receivers that he's thrown to. Yeah. But he's also, with all the numbers he's put up, he's still not really considered to be a good fantasy player. I would take Derek Carr over him.
Well, 13, like Anand's coming in saying that there could be a prospect like Desmond Ridder as one of the guys that come in very, very early. That would mean that Mariota is kicked to the curb quick, and I don't know about that.
I would say that he might be the starter in Atlanta, but I wouldn't say that he's going to be a productive fantasy starter no matter what happens in Atlanta this year.
Scoop saying any rookies worth drafting?
We're going to get into that because
any rookie quarterbacks?
Quarterbacks?
Yeah, no.
Let's move to running backs, shall we? There is a lot of guys that I think that jump out at me as guys that are probably going to get a lot more volume than what we might have thought or what you might have thought or anybody out there drafting might have thought. Whatchamacall? Top 5 guy. I'm sorry. Verduro coming in. Mahomes without Hall. Is he still? I'm sure he was talking about Hill. Still a top 5 guy?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think so too. He's going to. Dude, the guy's got a fucking cannon. They're never going to let him not throw. Anyway, so to the running backs, right? So there are a couple on your board right now. We're talking about, the guys you can see right there. The Montgomerys. I almost said Ray Rice. Same number. J.K. Dobbins. You got Nick Chubb.
Recognize this graphic?
Yes, we used it the other day. And I was like, what a great recycled graphic this was. All right, so who are some of the guys? I got some deeper dives, I think. Or some of the guys you might think are going to outperform their draft value and what people are already projecting for them.
Okay, so I really do. I'm sure anybody that's watched the past couple of weeks knows that I'm really high on DeAndre Swift this year. He's going around like RB12.
Who'd you say? I'm sorry.
DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
I think out of all the guys that have a chance to vault into top 3 pick next year that are picked in the mid-second round this year, is DeAndre Swift is definitely heads that list for me. Okay. And without getting too deep into it, I'm going to put these
even
guys,
if you think the Lions are going to be playing from behind a lot.
I think that I don't think the Lions are going to get blown out a lot. Like, they covered a lot of spreads. They played in some tight games last year. They weren't really getting
looking
blown
for the
out.
offense here. That's all.
And there's a lot of Lions that I have on this list, if I'm being honest. Well, 2, really.
Go ahead.
So DeAndre Swift, and then just to group them together because it's very similar. They're going to get drafted around the same spot in drafts this year, but Javonte Williams. I know that we're not going to beat this one to death because Dave will be low-key rooting against him this year unless he drafts him.
Wouldn't that be so counterproductive for the bet?
I mean, I hope I pick right after you. And I'm like, Dave's not taking him, so he's all mine. But yeah,
catch 22, I'll win the fantasy
Swift
game.
and Javonte Williams, I feel like these 2 guys are the clear cut, are going to vault into superstardom at the running back position this year. So barring injury from Swift, I think Javonte Williams will be able to at least look. They both have a secondary back that's good, Melvin Gordon and Jamal Williams. So there's enough there where they're not going to have to shoulder the load. But Swift has dealt with injuries in the past. But that offensive line in Detroit is super underrated. And the commitment to the style of play that Dan Campbell's bringing to the table means that they're going to run the ball a lot. He had a stretch last year where he was the best back in football outside of Jonathan Taylor.
And if their wide receiver that they drafted for Alabama is healthy, that's going to even make their running room even better. You know?
I forgot all about that kid. All right.
All right. Well, Hawkinson, right at tight end too.
So he tore his ACL.
But when he comes back,
so he'll be back eventually. But I put him in the same regard as like an Odell, where late you might want to stash this guy at the end of the draft.
Gallup.
And I'll talk a little bit about the rookie receivers later on. But yeah,
rookie receivers. Let me see your receivers.
So moving down the list a little bit, moving into like the 3rd, 4th round region. Cam Akers, these 2 guys made the graphic. Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins. I'll talk about these guys. I'll line these 2 up as well because of the same reason as the first 2. Cam Akers in a situation where he's the clear number 1 back, I think. Sony Michel's out of town, right? Darrell Henderson is there, but Darrell Henderson, even when they've had no other back, Darrell Henderson still gave way to other backs. So they've never given him a chance to be the lead guy.
The Dolphins.
Everybody's on the Dolphins, dude.
Christ.
But Cam Akers just being in a position to get the ball with that offense spread out the way it is, 20 times a game, a little bit out of the backfield catching the ball. There's really no weakness on that offense. I think the ability to come back from the injury shows what type of dynamic player he can be. He came back real fast. The guy's like a freak of nature. So Cam Akers, I think, could be a top 10 pick next year. J.K. Dobbins, I have a little more trepidation going into the season with Dobbins, but we all know that's because of the Lamar factor. I think Lamar eats into his carries big time. So I think Dobbins, out of every running back on my list, has a chance to kind of fall flat. But I'm buying in on the fact that his efficiency in year one was so good that if he even sniffs that efficiency with more usage in year 2 or year 3 at this rate, then he'll outperform that. Gus Edwards' presence does scare me a little bit at the goal line.
Got his tires back.
He's back. He's healthy. He's ready to go. And Dobbins did have a lot of touchdowns in his rookie year. He saw the bulk of the goal line work.
His average was like 6-8 a carry. Like
and he had 10 touchdowns in a very limited amount of time. But Gus Edwards, I feel like, is going to be the goal line back this year, and I feel like that could really drop down Dobbins in terms of touchdown potential. Travis Etienne, I think, out of all the backs I'm talking about, he's next on my list. I think he's also just way too low. I'm seeing him go in 4th and 5th rounds in some mock drafts. I'm seeing him go as late as the 3rd round in dynasty mock drafts. Look, this guy was drafted.
Isn't that a crowded room too? Sort of. Like,
not really.
Don't think. What's this guy from James Robinson? Is a really good running back.
He's not healthy. I don't think he's going to be ready at all.
Good, though.
Right now, James Robinson's projections for week 1 are 0. So he's not.
Wait, what?
He's not even projected to be playing ready for week 1.
There's projections already for like week 1? Crazy.
Come on, bro.
All right.
What else are these guys going to do? Right? Like
Nick is coming in saying, you guys just wait for Saquon to have a fantastic year. Nick, listen, don't come back on Tuesday.
Nick, you should wait too.
Yeah, keep waiting.
Yeah,
so there was an NFL exec that remains anonymous because obviously that's how they do that in these ESPN polls. But the NFL exec had some scathing remarks about Saquon and his ability to play the position. He said he's just not good at running back. Like he doesn't know how to play running back.
I mean, like, coming out of Penn State, he was a fucking monster.
Yeah, but there was always one knock on him, and I said it right out of the gate, was that he's afraid of the contact in the backfield. He doesn't. He's
so
trying
avoid
to
him. Then you're a successful running back.
That's the problem.
Get away.
That's the problem. Like sometimes you have to accept the fact that a 4-yard run in the NFL is good. Like
I did the old cliche.
Like when they're
don't
handing
know
you the
football.
ball,
Like, why do they run into them? Why don't they just run around them?
Yeah, when they're handing you the ball inside the tackles, it's like get 3 or 4.
It's okay to get 3 yards. You know what I mean?
If you get, I say the best is 3.5. 3.5 3 times, first down. There you go. Done.
Yeah, well, 3.5, you're out of the fucking league.
This is true. Zeke was 3.8, but anyway, keep going.
All right,
it's gonna be like
now we got out of the guys. I feel like these guys that I'm just talking about right now, maybe outside of the top 2, Akers, Dobbins, and Etienne. I feel anybody that misses out on a running back in the first, if you draft a receiver, you drafted Josh Allen early, these are the guys that you're going to be able to go after in the 3rd and 4th round to try and salvage your running back group.
I got some deeper dives, but go ahead.
As we get a little bit deeper right now, Kenneth Walker III.
I love him.
I think he's just a guaranteed starting in Seattle right now. We know that he's going to face a lot of fucking stacked boxes, which is unfortunate for his production, I'm sure. But they're going to use the shit out of him because Pete Carroll is the most committed to the run football coach.
Just ask him when he's on the goal line,
right? Well, not there.
That's what I'm saying. He wasn't committed that time.
But I think that if Seattle's going to win any football games, they're going to have to run the ball effectively and play good defense. I think they might be able to run the ball effectively, but we'll find out about that. Breece Hall. All right. Maybe he should be put a little bit higher, but I think Breece Hall, they're giving him the keys right away. They're making it known right now before camp's even really starting that they're going to be their lead guy, and Carter is going to be what they drafted him to be, much like what he was to Javonte Williams at North Carolina. And that's just I could come in and do all this receiver work. I could be the Charlie Garner to your Tyrone Wheatley, we'll call it.
Great drop. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Charlie Garner.
There is another guy. I feel like his first name's escaping me right now, and even his last name is hard to pronounce, but I think it's Tyler Algier.
I have him written down.
For Atlanta?
I have him written down only for the sole purpose of like that running back room right now is him, Cordell Patterson, and they signed Damian Williams.
We have a question here. When do you risk taking McCaffrey?
Never.
I don't.
No, you do.
I simply don't.
You don't, but
if he's there in the 4th round, you take him.
If he's there in the 4th,
listen,
that's the thing.
I'm just saying.
Let's talk in the context of a fantasy football draft. He's not making it past the 1st round. He might make it to the end of the 1st, early 2nd. So me personally, I'm never taking him over another guy that could be picked at 11. Like not over Mixon, not over Swift, not over Javonte Williams. Like, how could you do it? How could you put it's a risk enough to take literally anybody, right? Like anybody could get hurt and ruin your season. I'm definitely not taking the guy that has ruined seasons year after year. How many fantasy champions has Christian McCaffrey made after year 1?
Probably none.
Or year 2, because I think year 1 he was like not the best, but year 2 he was the man, right?
Year 2 is healthy.
Yeah, Saquon's
So then
rookie
3 and
year.
4, then he's ruined your year because you took him first
Yeah, and now he looks like,
or second.
truth be told, he looks like he's. Look, I'm not sitting here and saying this matters, but he just, when you see McCaffrey of 3 years ago, he looks like a young guy. To me now, he looks a little sucked in. He looks like he's older. And it looks like the wear and tear, not only in his body, but he just looks like an older guy.
It's a lot of pressure being one of the
white
spokesmen
people
for
age differently,
untuckit.com.
that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? Like there's a lot.
AJ coming in. Chris, what are your thoughts on Josh Jacobs with Devontae? On the outside to stop opposing defense from stacking the box.
Not a bad,
Had a
not
great
a bad
end
play
of the
there. I
season.
didn't have him written
Yeah,
down.
look,
but
I've been burned by Josh Jacobs in a similar way that me and you were both burned by Antonio Gibson. So I've been low on Jacobs. I was low on Jacobs going into last year, and early going, he was proving me right to be low on him. But you're right. I am big on guys that perform big in the second half going into next year, as you'll find out when I talk about my
Yeah, but how
receivers.
about the Raiders not picking up his 5th-year option? Does that concern you?
I
That
think
maybe
that
they're
if
not
any-
going to play
if
him?
anything-
that's a little flame under your ass.
To me, if anything, they're looking like, well, we don't really have the money to pick up your option right now, but we're not writing you off entirely. Go earn it. And I think players that are, look at, we had a comment before about Gesicki got tagged as well. So these guys are playing for
today,
money.
by the way.
So you're playing for a new contract. So I think Jacobs is more inspired. If he got his deal, then he might not be.
Is
as
Kenyon
inspired.
Drake still there?
No, he's in Miami. I want to say
No fucking
He already
way.
played for Miami already. That's so funny though.
Kenyon Drake is with the Raiders still.
Yeah,
actually,
okay.
Kenyon
So
Drake
still
is
back
with
in
the
the
Raiders.
I don't think he's it. But Drake
Who
is.
is I was thinking of Chase Edmonds.
Yeah.
Edmonds went down to
he is-
Miami. I
and
actually
he's in
have a
Miami.
Miami running back written down here, but you keep going with yours. I have like 5 guys, but you just took
No,
one,
I'm
so.
good. I'm good.
All right, so-
I just want to touch on why I think Algier might vault into starting status. Flex status almost out of the gate could be potential for him. I don't know how they're going to manipulate the running back room, but Cordero Patterson, he's old, right? Like for a running back standards, he's an older guy.
He's old. He's
I
been in
have
the
this
league for
weird
like
thing,
10
but I'm not
years,
going to
I
bring it
think.
up. But like at his age, he hasn't had the running back wear and tear, but he's still been in the league for a while. And eventually, you got to imagine that it's going to catch up to him.
This was the first year he was running between the tackles.
That's what I'm saying. So
he got
we haven't really
knocked around a
seen,
little
we've
bit.
seen him be able to. He has staying power in the league clearly, but how much staying power does he have at running back when he's their real only weapon on offense for the last, I guess, 18 games? No Ridley. I guess Pitts kind of came on late, but I'm not buying in on Cordero Patterson being able to withstand the full load of a 17-game NFL season.
And that's why this Algier guy kind of.
Plus, I feel like they're going to be on the field at the same time a lot. I think Patterson is going to line up at receiver often, and you have a traditional running back that you could bring in, but their offensive line is another scenario.
I got guys that are going to be drafted quite late in a lot of these drafts. I'm talking 10th, 11th, 12th round that really I think the volume could be there if they're the bell cow that I think they could be. If not bell cow, just a lot more carries than I thought they were going to get. Starting with Ross Stevenson over in New England.
And yes, Scoop, they are the same person.
Yes, they are the same person. I saw that before. Stevenson out of New England. I'm not a believer in their passing game much. I believe Bill Belichick is very, very conservative, and their new offensive coordinator named who is it? The defensive coordinator, right?
Patricia.
It's Patricia
Whoever the
or
hell's
Joe
calling the
Judge.
plays,
two of them
like-
together.
they're
The safe bet is that they're going to run the football a lot. Ross Stevenson showed last year that he could definitely weather the storms of having
I heard-
not that great of a team around
Not a
him.
joke, really. I heard a rumor that they're going to play Soggy Cracker on pregame. It's going to be Patricia against Joe Judge. Soggy
You said
Cracker.
Soggy
the
Cracker
loser.
to
I'm not going to get into what a Soggy Cracker
I don't even
is.
want to know because
But Google it. If you don't watch Big Mouth, then you don't know
I
what
don't
a
know.
Soggy Cracker is.
So anyway, Ross Stevenson. I know it's a crowded backfield in Miami, but in the 10th round, average draft position right now, Ryan Mostert.
Could you imagine eating Matt Patricia's Soggy Cracker?
Come on.
Anyway.
Gross. Ryan Mostert's on my list. We talked about Tyler Algier. Look, I understand that the Buffalo Bills are going to be pass happy because Josh Allen's a stud and they have Singletary, Moss. They even signed Duke Johnson. Look out for James Cook, man. I got a feeling that if you want to take a flyer on a kid late, go for it. Go for it. And my last guy on the running back list is Tony Pollard because he may or may not get a lot of carries this year because Zeke's probably not going to get the ball as much. Tony Pollard's going to be a stud. I love him.
Dave hands me $50.
I love him. I think Tony Pollard is somebody going to be used out of the slot a lot this year.
So funny.
Kellen Moore is on the hot seat in Dallas. You got to get this kid on the field. That's all I'll say.
So I have Javonte Williams potentially defaulting into like the top 3 next year. You have Tony Pollard as a sleeper because Zeke's makes sense.
It does make sense.
All right. So wide receivers.
Yeah.
Loaded list
catching
here.
balls.
Honestly, you could take your pick at a ton of wide receivers that are going to probably outperform their draft value. It's a very hard position to rank preseason to me outside of like the top 20. It really is.
Sure.
So I'm not going to do the top 20 because that's,
So
that's
you're
going to
taking
be
flyers
interchangeable. Not necessarily flyers, but guys that I think that could potentially be consistent 1 or 2 or 3 starters, starting off with Mike Williams. Mike Williams right now, they're ranking him at around like 28 to 35. I'm seeing most fantasy rankings. For the first 5 weeks of the season last year, he was wide receiver 1. He had a couple dud games midway through the season and then picked it up again late. But he's the number 2 receiver on what everyone is talking about as probably the most.
To me, he's like 1A with Keenan Allen.
Well,
Keenan Allen gets a lot of targets.
Yeah, no, I know, but
Keenan Allen,
Mike Williams, he's that dude, bro.
Switch those two coverage-wise. Let Keenan Allen get the single coverage that Mike Allen,
very
so
true.
Keenan Allen's a far better.
You call him Mike Allen. That's how similar they are.
So I think Mike Williams, he has real talent, and he like I said, he doesn't show up to some games. I think he had 4 games with outside of the top 55 finishes last year, but then he had a ton of games where he was like receptions.
As far as Mike Williams go, I have a stat here. According to what I'm reading, he's been playing football his entire life.
Crazy. Not only that, but he's also been bigger than everybody else his entire life. So he's clearly able to handle the full season of catching passes.
That was good. I felt that one. That was from my squeak.
I did. Yo, that's so fucking perfect. I'm so proud of fucking the forces right now for making that happen for me.
The forces, bro. Like, you don't believe in shit, but that force just happened.
That was my energy.
You definitely transferred that to my microphone and my what do you call it? Larynx, whatever the hell I
have no idea.
Anyway,
as I say, my first wide receiver on this list as being a number 2 wideout on a very prolific passing offense. If anybody have a guess as to who my second guy might be?
So one more time, repeat the whole thing.
So my first guy on this list was the number 2 wide receiver on a very prolific, we'll even add in AFC offense, passing at that. Could anybody guess who would be my number 2 guy? Go ahead.
Gabriel Davis.
It is Gabriel Davis. So Gabriel Davis lit it up in the postseason last year for the small opportunity that he had.
Yeah.
And down the stretch, he was the man. Gabriel Davis, the number 2 receiver in Buffalo.
Literally the first guy.
Allen's the MVP.
He's getting drafted in the 9th round.
Josh Allen's the MVP frontrunner. If you draft Gabriel Davis in the 9th round, you will start him more often than anybody else you draft in the 9th round. I could almost guarantee it, depending if you wait for your starter in the quarterback like me.
Before you get to your rest of your list, question about this. They might fall on your list. Denver. I wonder about Sutton or Patrick. Is someone going to reap the benefits of opposite of Judy this year? Like, somebody like, are they draftable?
I'm going to fix that comment for you.
I had a crush on Tim Patrick at that point. I was
Cortland
drafting
Sutton
the hell out of him.
Is the one, right? And then it's Jerry Jeudy is the clear 2, but Tim Patrick is the most, my love affair with Tim
both of
Patrick's
us love this kid.
Stats. He's one of, if you look at the games where he is playing as a start, he has a touchdown every other game he plays in, and he averages like 6 catches a game. Yards are a little bit low, but Tim Patrick, he's not necessarily going to win you fantasy weeks, but he's going to save you from losing fantasy weeks, if that makes sense. When you have a Jerry Jeudy, like Tim Patrick might not get drafted this year. It's Cortland Sutton and Jeudy, no doubt about it. I think both of those guys have
1,000% being added.
Yeah, but Tim Patrick will be a mainstay on rosters when Jerry Jeudy tweaks his ankle week 3 again. Then you could add Tim Patrick and not worry one bit, because Russell Wilson, I think if you want to compare Tim Patrick to anybody, we'll compare him to like a Jermaine Kearse type, or the Doug Baldwin type, where they're not overly athletic, but they're just very efficient wide receivers. Tim Patrick, Doug Baldwin, you might get a similar output from him.
Chris Hogan.
With Russell Wilson at quarterback. But Jeudy is the number 2 there, and Cortland Sutton, to me, is clearly their number 1 receiver. I think Sutton has a chance to be a top 10 receiver.
I remember I had him that year that he got hurt. I was like,
me too. 4th round pick.
Does a guy like Juju make your top 20?
Juju doesn't make my top 20, but Juju makes my list.
He does, because I got the other guy on my list. Take the flyer on the rookie.
Well, no, I think Marcus Valdes-Scantling is the reports that I'm reading out of there is he's going to be the guy opposite Juju, and it's going to be Mecole Valdes-Scantling and Sky Moore.
No love for Sky Moore?
It's not that it's no love for Sky Moore. I think that Sky Moore is a little bit behind in terms of
He
polish.
yeah, of course.
He's not ready. And when you got an offense that hums the way Kansas City does, you might be able to send him on a fly route. But I think that there's a little learning curve there for him to be ready to go in KC. And they have a talented room. Valdez-Scantling, there's good reports coming out of him. They say that he looks the best out of any receiver in the room, including Juju.
Are you proud of him?
I am.
As like
I am proud of him.
MVS?
I root for my former guys to go do well. I'm not.
So when Cobb was a Cowboy, were you rooting for him hard?
I wasn't rooting for the Cowboys hard, but I've always talked to Randall Cobb. Yeah. Randall Cobb again. All right. So AJ had mentioned the thing about Josh Jacobs playing well down the stretch last year. Probably the best receiver or guy that won a lot of fantasy leagues for people. If you were fortunate enough to add Amon-Ra St. Brown at any given point in the season last year, down the stretch, you got some real usage, real good value out of him. He's going in like he's like the 39th, 40th ranked receiver. To me, that's crazy. He finished the season last year in the top 20, and he didn't really get going until like week 6. So I just don't see it. I don't see why they're taking a guy that's proven it on a bad team, and they're an improved team, really didn't lose anybody. If in fact they've gained guys back on the offensive line that's going to make them better, and another year under the head coach that clearly believes in the guys that he's coaching and used him down the stretch as a rookie. I don't understand how I'm targeting Amon-Ra St. Brown in every draft I'm in if I'm getting him as the 40th receiver.
Getting a lot of good intel
question
here,
about it.
by the way.
That's fine.
It's all up here.
Got to keep it in there though.
It's not staying there.
Got to keep it in there. And then to talk about Juju, look, who's going to get the targets? Do you see Kelsey really getting more targets? No. Like he already got 130. What are you going to give him 180? He's a tight end. That's not going to happen. He doesn't even go out for passes every play. Juju is just going to be that guy that finds that wrinkle as Kelsey spreads the seam. You got the speedsters. I know there's no Tyreek Hill, but Valdez-Scantling over the last 3 years, he's been in the tops of the league with yards per catch average, upwards around like 17, 18 yards a catch. And Mecole Hardman, we all know about his speed. There might be one guy in the league faster than him, and that's Tyreek Hill. So they're still going to be able to stretch the field, and they still got the guy in Kelsey to protect the seam. So I think Juju in that slot is just gonna eat this year. So I wouldn't put him in the top 20, but I think he's going to have several top 20 finishes in weeks this year. So Juju, fringe 3, definite week-to-week flex option out of Juju, no doubt about it. Next receiver, we're getting a little more. I'm going to go with 3 more, and then we'll talk about the rookies. So Allen Lazard, I don't know how anybody could look at what Green Bay has done with whoever their number 1 receiver has been over the career of either Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. Whoever that guy is going to get at least 100 targets. And if you're getting 100 targets in an Aaron Rodgers-led offense, you're going to put up 70 catches. So I think Lazard is in for a career year just by proxy. And if he stays healthy, then you're going to be able to start him. But I'm not going to go ahead of myself and say that he's like a number 2 or 3, but solid flex guy for sure, with potential to vault into a little bit higher. Devontae Parker, second time he's being brought up in this little segment. I think that this guy's a gamer. You know, he's been undermatched or overmatched in a lot of the situations you look at him, and he outperforms a lot of big name corners. He goes up for the ball. His point of attack is really good. He high points everything. And I don't know who else they're throwing to. They got N'Keal Harry, is it? Or,
no, they traded him to Chicago.
Who's the other guy though?
What in New England?
New England's guy last year. I get them all confused because they're the same fucking person.
Let's see. I'm pulling up their depth chart right now. Looks like Devontae, but Jacoby Myers.
And
they still got Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah. You know, I'm not really worried
Matthew
about
Slater,
Aguilar
okay.
eating into Devontae Parker's targets.
I'm telling you, man, the Patriots are going to suck.
People think they're going to be good. I don't get
But
it.
well, their defense is supposed
except
to
for
be
like
really
I'm
good.
sure
So,
Anand in the chat.
look, if you got
Patriots
Bill Belichick
guy.
with a 3rd-ranked defense, I feel like they're going to win some games. How about this? Everyone thinks that I'm seeing is that the Patriots are going to be a pushover this year. That to me is a joke.
Kendrick Bourne as well. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I think it's Jacoby Myers was the guy I was looking for. Very similar. They're going to both get around 60, 70 catches this year, and they're going to alternate which guy is the guy in a game-to-game basis.
Ooh,
so buyer beware for that reason, but you will be able to start streaming.
I'm going to raise my hand for this one. Did you know that the Patriots landed Ty Montgomery?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he might not make the roster, though.
I think so, too.
And then Justin Gage going to
Clear cut number 1 over there.
Godwin, we're not sure what's
sorry,
going
I'm
on.
thinking of fucking Atlanta.
But Godwin's
Jesus
not
Christ.
sure what's going on with Godwin's knee, at least in the beginning of the season. So Gage will step into a nice little
From
role.
what I've read, everything I'm reading is Godwin and Gallup both on pace to start week 1, which
Yeah.
would be incredible
Like
for
I
both.
said, I need to see it to believe it. There could be a setback. There's a lot of practice to be had and a lot of football to be played from now till then. If they were smart, they would just let him go week 1 and not really do too much. But Godwin, nonetheless, probably won't be ready week 1. I just can't buy it.
Casey, we'll get into tight ends in a second, but I agree too.
And then I guess rookie receivers, bro, there's a ton.
Well, can I just add a non-rookie?
Yeah.
This is going to pain me very, very hard to put this guy on the list just because I think they're going to be coming from behind a lot. I think they're going to be losing a lot of football games this year. And one guy in the NFL has to outperform all expectations this year. That guy's name is Daniel Jones, and he's going to have to throw to Kadarius Toney. Tony's the kind of guy where last year he showed some fight, literally and figuratively. He just seems like he's a dog, dog. So like, I think Toney is that guy this year.
That is a good addition because
I like
must
him
have
this year.
overlooked him.
Unfortunately,
I've drafted him in like 13 of my mock drafts because he's going way too late for.
He's going a average of 11th round right now is the ADP on Kadarius Toney. So what are you looking for? Tight ends. And that's all I got for receivers.
Rookies. All right, so I'll just talk about it then, I guess. Drake London is looking to be the clear-cut best receiver in the class, but that's all analytics and analysts talking. We haven't seen a goddamn thing. To me, I think the guy that the Jets got is going to be the best receiver in the draft. I don't know about right out of the gate, but just to talk about the 2 Jets pass catchers, Elijah Moore is another one that we haven't talked about. It's going to be hard for him to not outperform his status last year, but
Agreed.
He is getting drafted a little higher for a guy that hasn't done a goddamn thing yet. I think
people are high on Zach Wilson again. So
I'm a little
offense could be clicking.
I'm a little hesitant to add Elijah Moore to my list. While he is a guy that I'm potentially targeting because I do think he's going to have a decent season, I think that he's getting a little too much credit, and there's guys on here that aren't getting enough. And I would go with the Amon-Ra. Like I'm seeing Elijah Moore getting picked earlier than Amon-Ra St. Brown in drafts. And I don't understand that. Even in dynasty drafts, I could understand because you might think quarterback play is like Jared. I guess Jared Goff is an established quarterback in the NFL, but he's not lighting it up by any stretch.
Well, that's why I said Elijah Moore might get drafted earlier than because of quarterback play. You took it the other way.
No, my thing is the name value coming out of college was like Elijah Moore was a big name receiver, and they expect blue chip prospect value out of him in the NFL.
Right.
But stats don't lie. Amon-Ra St. Brown, this motherfucker 8 last year. If I'm picking and they're both on the board, how could you go with a guy that hasn't done anything over a guy that had like 80 catches as a rookie?
Truth.
Not going to happen for me. But we'll move past the rookie receivers. There's a lot that we need to see. The Detroit guy's injured.
Some tight end action.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the tight ends. Not many tight ends, though.
I got a guy. And just before you get into your list, I'll just say this right now. There's 2 guys affected by this, but today in the NFL, it was the deadline for any franchise tag guys to reach long-term extensions. Today was the deadline. Both Mike Gesicki and Dalton Schultz did not get long-term extensions. Dalton Schultz now is playing on the franchise tag. That's why no matter where he's being drafted in drafts, I think he's going to have himself a decent year because he's looking for that payday. And now he has a chance to earn some serious do-re-mi with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
if it sticks around.
I think it's a good thing for the Cowboys. They didn't do this, I think, by design. Put it this way. If they could have gotten a deal done at the right dollar amount that they were comfortable with, yes. But I think they're willing to pay him more than they're able to now. And then the caveat is that he's in a contract year, so you're going to get him the ball out trying to get paid. So I think it's a good
real
move
quick,
for the Cowboys.
Going back to receivers for a second, Jack, our boy Jack Sinat, waiting for that Ravens play. Where are we going with Bateman?
I don't want to talk about Bateman.
No, Bateman. So that's basically your key.
Bateman is
Bateman's is like wide receiver 1.
It's not that and look, this is the context of this. This isn't anybody that I think is really good. I think Bateman is. There's a little more recognition on Rashad Bateman being drafted kind of where he should. I wouldn't draft him any higher. I think that we need to see a little bit. He had some splash plays. Like when you look at his catch radius and all those types of things, which I know Dave doesn't get big into that, but I think that projects well for a guy like when you're not seeing him get the usage, but when you see him get the ball thrown his way, the motherfucker catches everything. And he's a little undersized, but his route running is very crisp. I think he has potential to vault into one of the best route runners in the league right away, like a Darnell Mooney is right now, but doesn't get the credit. He's another one. Added 10 pounds, by the way.
of muscle.
Just no quarterback.
So anyway, Dalton Schultz is my guy as far as tight ends that might outperform because of the fact that he's going to be trying to earn his next big payday.
But I think Dalton Schultz, again, like I see him going as high as like the 6th tight end overall. I'm looking at the top 5 over him. I feel like 6. Now, granted, there's a fucking 3 Cowboy fans in every draft that I do because they just are everywhere. So
like
there's
plague,
probably that
baby.
factor. But yeah, Dalton Schultz, man, like I think Dalton Schultz last year surprised everybody, including Dave and including himself, right? But Dalton Schultz,
and he did that
hard,
given the opportunity.
It's hard for me to
Jaws
put
got
him
hurt.
in the list because I see him going drafted like the tight end right after Pitts. I think in some cases you might want to put him a little lower, but I think that this news about his contract might help him.
All right, I'll ask you because we know the obvious, the Kittles, the Kelseys, the Andrews is your top 3, and then you're looking at a guy like Pitts because who knows where the hell he lines up, 4 or 5, right? I missed somebody, a Waller, right? So, but now like you look at Schultz and you say he should be lower, then what guys do you feel like should be over him?
I'm not saying should be. I'm saying like we're getting into preference. I think Schultz is like the 6-7 guy, right? Based on what he did last year, right? Yeah. But then you could look at a guy like a Dawson Knox, TJ Hawkinson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hawkinson has underperformed.
Knox is going to be
Hawkinson has underperformed in his career up to this point. Injuries have been an issue. If he could put together a full healthy season, I think this is the best team that he's playing on. And I know that's not saying much. They picked 3rd, right? 5th, something like that. So it's not saying much, but they, you know, we all have been talking about it ad nauseum for the last 2 seasons, how Detroit fights really hard. They're in every game, and we're going to go with that for that reason. I think Hawkinson has a chance. I don't buy in it. I'm not buying in on Hawkinson over him, but I am buying in on Dawson Knox. Okay. I would take Dawson Knox over Schultz preference-wise, and he's a touchdown machine. Last year, he was just their main.
Earlier, there was a comment about your boy Tanyan. You're not sold on Tanyan.
I'm not sold on Tanyan. I think he caught a flash in the pan. Very good.
All right, now I ask you this: is Mercedes still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not high on him either. But I didn't even name a guy.
You got to throw the tight end.
So let me do it. Let me go with my guys. Right.
Go for it.
Pat Freiermuth. Right. I think that they're going to be heavily reliant on the tight end with the Mitch Trubisky situation. I'm not sure he's able to throw the ball downfield as well as Pittsburgh fans would like him to. So Pat Freiermuth, I went on record last year and said, if I'm in a dynasty league, Pat Freiermuth could be a top 4 tight end, right? Like, I don't know who I put over him.
Me and Rob were high on him when we were previewing the Steelers. We think
very high on Freiermuth, and he's just a complete package. Outside of fantasy, like tight end wise, he might be the most complete tight end outside of George Kittle in football because he could catch and he's just a beast in the running game. Freiermuth is the real deal. And then Noah Fant is a new situation, but he's typically known as a pass catcher. They do have the weapons on the outside to kind of open up the seam for him. The running game is an issue. But we did talk about Kenneth Walker. I'm just not sure how it's going to play out. The roster isn't great, but just in terms of usage, I'm seeing him ranked as like a 15th tight end. Mm-hmm. I feel like he's going to be a fantasy starter in a 12-man league, or potential fantasy starter. So 16, I don't find 16 better, 15 better. No way. Okay. So that's it for my tight ends. Do we have any questions?
Any questions from the class? Raise your hand.
Like 8 to 10 tight ends you have that you're like comfortable with. I'm good with this guy for the year.
Yeah, no.
Backward, there's only be like 3.
Here's the thing. There's a couple tight ends that could win you a league. Right? Get hot at the right time. They're so much far and away better than everybody else at their position. But there is 12 good tight ends. Like any, it's very similar to quarterback with tight end, where if I miss out on the top 2 guys, everyone else is in the same tier. You know, if you're not getting even Kelsey or Andrews, I even put Kittle at a tier below right now, right? So I put Kelsey and Andrews tier 1, and then I put Kittle, Pitts. You know, you could even throw Dalton Schultz into that tier because it's maybe a small drop off, but not a big enough where you would drop him full tier. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like there's the same as quarterbacks where if you miss out on the top 3, then I'll take any of them.
Yeah,
I'll let everybody else pick.
Throw like 4,500.
If you're in a 12-man league and you're the only guy that doesn't have a quarterback, and you're looking, you're like, well, there's still Stafford, there's still Hurts, you're like, well, I don't, you know, I'll wait until the first guy takes it back up, and then that's my cue.
Go. Yeah,
it's the secondary run on quarterbacks. But all right,
very with tight end,
very
top 3,
logical stuff here at Chop Sports today, and that is your reminder right there on your screen, ladies and gentlemen, to please subscribe to the channel if you're brand new here. Subscribe to the channel. It's got a reflection and everything. That's pretty dope. That is courtesy of Artie. If you guys are just joining us, the beauty part is, as soon as we're out of here, you can go back and watch everything. We previewed some of the fantasy players that will outperform their draft slot or their ADP right now. We talked a little Yankees, talked a little Knicks, talked a little Conor McGregor. We got it all in this episode. Be sure to go replay this, share it with your friends, tell everybody what you're watching at 11 o'clock. Like the goddamn video, please, for the love of God. Like the video. And yeah.
Next Friday, I will be doing the players to avoid in your draft. So I'm sure a couple of Dave's guys will make an appearance.
So Viduro, tune in next Friday because there's a lot of haters out there about some of these guys.
The hater fantasy, well, that's what it is. It's like avoid these guys at all costs in traditional fantasy leagues, but in
which means every week
you might be wanting to stream Zeke week 1. Just saying.
Okay. And stream Zeke week 1. Like, he won't be drafted, but you could just pick him up.
It's like every single guy is a stream in hater. Because you're streaming week to week.
This is very true. Okay. You got a point. All right. So anyway, we hope you guys have a great weekend. You got anything going on this weekend? I haven't even talked to you about like the weekend coming up. No fights or anything, right? There's nothing big.
No, I don't have to fight anybody this weekend. No, there's nothing really of note in the fight.
The Yankees and the Red Sox, they open up their series tonight. So hopefully the Yankees can bounce back from their abysmal performance against the badass Cincinnati Reds, who have won 7 of 8 in their last day. So look, that's baseball, Susan. Okay, that's baseball.
At least we're not running into Baltimore right now.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, by the way, one of the winning teams in the AL East. By the way, all of the teams in the AL East, including the Baltimore Orioles, are 500 or better. So I don't want to hear shit about it.
Red Sox.
Gooch, the Red Sox fan known as Rob. This has been another episode of Shot Sports. Weekend. Be safe. We'll be back on before the Jaguars, ladies and gentlemen. We are moving to the AFC South. So let's get into the Jaguars.